And we're going to be talking today about, is your e-commerce experience helping or hindering conversion? I learned recently that Amazon have a 10 to 15% conversion seller rate. And that's really high. In Australia today, current conversion rates were 2.5 for 3% for sites on average. And that's actually dropped down to 2 to 3% in the current environment. So starting to look at how can brands start to really focus on conversion rate optimization, because what would a 10% conversion rate do for a brand? And that might be a little bit far-fetched for a lot of brands right now. But imagine doubling conversions. And we know that there's a lot that actually goes into conversions, from the type of product that is being sold, or you're a retailer or a brand, how often you're releasing new products and collections, the type of traffic that's being driven and the types of traffic sources that are being driven, the type of shopper you have. So you're having one-off shoppers or those loyal repeat shoppers as well. We know that then there's a whole load of external factors that go into conversion rates as well. We know that the cost of living and interest rates are going up at the moment, and are staying high, and that's putting more pressure onto having those more considered purchases. And the flip side of that is we're actually seeing for a lot of our brands at the moment, those shoppers that use search, those conversions and their percentage of revenue is going up, as those more loyal shoppers or those shoppers that know what they're looking for are starting to convert at a higher level. And then there's the whole site experience piece that goes into it as well. So how can you make your site take away all those friction points, create that best practice as well, and really focus on those profitable conversions and getting the right shopper to the right product at the right time. Now, thank you for everybody that has completed the registration question for us. So which of these challenges is the most significant for your e-commerce store? So few things in here. So personalization, that has been one of the top both challenges and priorities for brands for quite some time now, but certainly something that brands are still looking to lean into and really focus on personalization that converts, as well as looking at how do you translate? A lot of shoppers are purchasing via mobile, and so making sure that that mobile experience is really slick and seamless. Cart abandonment is a really interesting one. It's still high, and we know that there's a whole range of factors going into that, and really looking at how retailers right now are making sure that checkout and cart experience is as seamless as possible, and understanding why are shoppers dropping off at that last touch point. One of the lower ones on there, which surprised me, was the average order value. We're spending a lot of time with customers right now that are looking to really lean in and grow average order values through product recommendations, those upsell, cross-sell pieces. We're seeing a lot of sales activity going on at the moment, and really starting to understand how can we drive those profitable conversions, and growing the average order value is a key piece on that as well. Now, let me introduce you to our Rockstar panel. I'm Kate Massey, the head of APAC for Search Spring. Joining us today, we have Chris, who is the Global E-commerce Manager for 2XU. Morning, Chris.
Good morning.
2XU have been blowing up around the globe. You'll see, I think in my picture on the screen, I'm wearing my 2XU top. I see Jacinda wearing hers now as well. I think one of the great things that I saw when I was scrolling through Instagram was Kim Kardashian wearing 2XU. So a real global movement happening with lots of those celebrity followings as well. So really looking forward to Chris hearing about that growth you've been going on, and how you've been doing that. We have the fabulous Jacinda joining us. She is our customer success lead at Search Spring for APAC. Jacinda works with a growing base of customers, and particularly in the current environment, leaning in as much as possible to get the most out of the tech stack, and really focus on delivering and driving those goals around conversions, automation and optimization, as well as that average order value piece as well. Jacinda also used to be at 2XU, so was a client of SearchSpring before moving across to SearchSpring. So helped transition 2XU to Shopify Plus with SearchSpring, saw those conversions go up globally. And so when we were recruiting for our first customer success role in region, Jacinda came across and joined us, and then has now been growing out the team. So really looking forward to Jacinda's input and advice there on like what she's seen both on the retail side, the tech side, and working with a big base of customers as well. We have Scott joining as the market lead for APAC for Akendo. I know many of you would know Scott, and really exciting to see the level of product releases and innovation coming out of Akendo at the moment. I'm really looking forward to Scott breaking that down for us and introducing what Akendo have been working on, the real focus on driving that repeat customer, those loyal shoppers, and helping give that confidence to convert. So good morning, Scott. And then we have Blake, who is the tech lead at Convert Digital. So Convert have been our #1 partner in region for the last 2 years. They've done the most number of SearchSpring-led implementations from any agency we work with. And what we love about working with Convert is the real focus on creating those really streamlined shopping experiences with a focus on conversions and having those shopping experiences that shoppers love shopping on. So welcome, Blake, as well. So really looking forward to jumping in and getting into the topic. And so let me welcome Jacinda and Chris that are going to explore the first topic of how do we help shoppers find what they want and get to the checkout faster. We know we all have low attention spans. We want everything at the touch of a button at the moment. And so, yeah, Jacinda, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, so Chris, it's great to have you here. So as Kate mentioned, I came across from 2XU. So have really enjoyed working with Chris since I've come across to 2XU as well. So Chris, it would be really great to hear, I mean, in terms of helping shoppers find what they want, one thing that I learned at 2XU was that a pair of black tights is actually not a pair of black tights, right? So you have a look and you've got like 100 different pairs of tights. You have so many different customers that are coming to your site. So you've got, professional triathletes, you've got women that are looking at, training and doing different sport disciplines. How do you help them navigate through the different types of tights and the technicality of those?
Yeah, of course. I'd say probably the best thing that a customer can do is interact with the filtering on the left-hand side of our collection pages. We've set up, I guess, the information architecture of the products to be sorted by best for activity. So if a customer comes to us looking for tights for running or tights for the gym, or maybe something that kind of does both, a customer can help narrow down those number of products by using the filters. It's a good point that you raised that because, for example, our women's tights collection page right now has 70 different products on it. And to somebody who's not aware of all the technical benefits and what's good for, I guess, what sport, it can be extremely overwhelming. So we try to encourage that through filters. And then we also have call outs on our collection pages around like perfect for X activity, just to kind of really clarify that to a customer, because customers won't know what an aero compression tight is or a core compression tight is. The product lines don't always get picked up by customers. So just, I guess, thinking about it from their approach is definitely probably one of the areas.
Mm-hmm. And what I love about the way that you kind of do that as well is it doesn't stop there with the filters and the badges. You try and carry that through the whole shopper experience. So if I go to your site and I search for compression tights in the autocomplete box, but also on the results page, I'll see an inline banner that will link to your Prezi quiz that will add that extra step of, helping customers try and figure out which tight is right for them.
Yeah, the whole idea of activity and journey around the Prezi filter, or I guess experience coming from the search bar, has been pretty strong. We use that activity filter through all stages of the site. In fact, that question itself around activity or the main filter comes from our retail stores and the experiences that our customer service reps in store will ask a customer when they first come in.
Mm-hmm. And so when you look at that activity, I know, for a brand that is a very triathlon focused brand, but also, in that kind of women's training space, when you're looking at building out, that activity, do you look at what you create your product for in terms of activity, or do you go and look at what your customers are looking for? And does that help determine what you use for those filters? And I know you use the filter report a lot to go in and have a look at what's actually being used and prioritize those on the right pages as well.
Yeah, it very much is customer led. So, for example, our collection pages have different filter, like ordering of the filters, and certain filters are pre-expanded based on the level of interaction for those filters. Obviously, for a gendered collection page, we don't have the gender filter on there. But for our gender neutral pages that appear in our organic search results, we do have the gender filter there pre-expanded because we know that's going to be the number one filter that is utilized by customers. We do use the analytics for filtering to help determine, our, I guess, collection page or navigation strategy around promotional events, or even like, say, new season releases. One of the bits of advice that we learned over the years is that previously we were sending everyone to just a gender neutral new arrivals collection page. And then we saw the number of interactions for gender filters just skyrocket on that collection page. So we thought, well, why don't we let the customer already pre-apply that navigation or that filter experience through the nav, and just removes that one extra step. And then we had men's and women's new arrivals, bit of a no-brainer. But then we saw, I guess, interactions with product type filters go through the roof, and that was the most interactive one. So now we have under our navigation, men's, women's new arrivals, but then tops, bottoms, I think it's accessories as well. So it really, the insights that we get off filters and user interactions is a core part of our strategy.
Mm-hmm. And I think to add another layer on that, I've been doing a bit of work with Jake around your new arrivals pages, and we've been A/B testing some different strategies on merchandising with those specific pages. And what we found that was really interesting, we tried a few different strategies around, like matching the sets, doing color stories, using personalization. And what actually worked for the men's page was completely different to what worked with the women's. So the men's was like, just show me the bestsellers, just like things that are, colorways, black, gray bestsellers. With the women's, it was more like when we were starting to color block and put those sets together that you were seeing, conversions a lot higher on those, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it kind of makes sense. And that's very much why we cater and having the control to have different filtering experiences, or even just merchandising experiences based on, I guess, what we're seeing users interacting with. I guess the other big thing that we wanted to call out here is that even though we might have a very detailed merchandising strategy for men and women, it's good that we always have like a default fallback strategy as well. So if we don't have the time to set up one, we can always make sure that our merchandising is our products are being prioritized that have the best size curve or whatever's selling the best, which is really monumental for us as well.
Yeah. And I mean, one thing that I know from when I was there was, you manage four different domains and regions, right? And if you've got someone manually merchandising those, then from a resource perspective, right, that's a huge load on the team. So I know that that's a huge time save for you guys as well. Talking about A/B testing, so I've had heaps of fun jumping in and getting stuck into this with you. But let's talk about with the market the way it is at the moment, there's a lot of brands that are kind of falling into, discounting cycles. As we kind of see things picking back up, we're seeing, and I'm hearing it from a lot of customers, they're wanting to move back into that kind of move out of that discounting cycle and start to build a more stable kind of base again. And actually, I'm working with a couple of customers at the moment that have floated the idea of removing like their outlet or their sale from like their full price pages and having that kind of focus on full price. You had the same. I'd love for you to talk through your experience, because I think it's really very relevant to what everyone's doing at the moment.
Yeah, of course. So the leadership team, I guess, made an executive decision to remove our outlet products from our normal collection pages. That being said, we do have our outlet products mixed in with our, normal full price products, but they are deprioritized through our boost rules within SearchSpring. So they're, for the most part, all the way down at the bottom. But there was an executive decision to remove those outlet styles to seem of more of a premium brand, which I understand with and agree with from a branding perspective. However, not to, I guess, undermine this decision, I wanted to conduct an A/B test to validate that direction. And so we conducted that within SearchSpring. And I remember speaking to our VP of Digital, Lindsay, about what the business would deem as an acceptable loss is the word that I use. Like, was it 10%? No, that's fine for branding. 20%? No, that's fine. And then when I go 30%, it was very much like, oh, okay, well, then we'll have to consider it. So basically what I was trying to do is highlight that, we need to back these decisions up with data, and that there is the potential for it to be a 30 or higher percentage loss. But we ran the A/B test and we found that our control of having those outlet products in the collection page had a 70% higher conversion rate than removing those outlet products. Admittedly, we are rerunning this test because we do need to look at the underlying impact on margin, which we didn't look at the first time. But with a substantial conversion rate increase, we would probably still see like similar results. But it's just I guess the learning here is just A/B test wherever possible, because the insights you can get out of it are really invaluable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think so from a segmentation point of view, I had a manager that I used to work with, and we had a segment that we called the Pam segment. And the reason we called it that was because she'd created on Oz Bargains this character Pam, and every time we had a promotion we would post on Oz Bargains, and we'd actually get a lot of organic traffic from that. And so we had these segments where we knew that they were sales shoppers and they came to our site only at sale periods. And so looking at segmented merchandising and how you can put those shoppers into those buckets, and maybe removing outlet, for those first time shoppers instead of across the board. I can see Kate's video is on, so we're probably running out of time.
That was really great too. And I think one of the things that really jumped out to me there is not all shoppers are the same, right? And what works today may not work for tomorrow. And then how to really keep diving into the data and testing and A/B testing to keep looking for those ongoing incremental uplifts in conversion. So that was great. So Jacinda, tell us quickly about SearchSpring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so SearchSpring is a search, merchandising and personalization tool. So our goal at SearchSpring is to help your shoppers find what they need to find faster, and also helping your team to merchandise your store the way you need it to be faster. In terms of the way that we do that, we have our three core products. So we have search, we have merchandising, and we have personalization. And I think the power in SearchSpring is the way that you can use those three things together. So obviously with search, it's helping you to find, for those customers to find exactly what they are looking for at the time that they're looking for it. And then using things like personalized search and merchandising to identify what customers are doing in that session, and then boost those products that, they're most likely to add to their cart or most likely to be interested in based on what they're looking at. As Chris mentioned as well, with SearchSpring, you have your, global campaign. And what that does is make sure that you are prioritizing the products across your store that are going to drive engagement from customers, and also that are going to meet those business rules that you've got in place. So For me, there's a couple of things when I go to a site that really will impact my experience. And for that, it is, if I'm on a category or collection page for like a fashion brand, for example, and it's sale time, if I can't see my size that's available, if I can't filter by that size, and when I do filter by that size, I want products being returned that are actually in stock in that size. And then I also want to be put back in the place that I was before when I navigate back to that collection page. From a personalization perspective, when you go to the product page, we power personalized product recommendations that are showing me products that are either similar or that I'm likely to purchase as well as or instead of that product that I'm looking at. From a holistic kind of collection category page, as well as filters, SearchSpring will power everything on those pages, from badges, your sort by logic, and everything on your product cards.
That was great. Great summary. And there is a QR code on the screen if you'd like to find out more. Take a snap of that QR code. And this works, right? So with 2XU now, 17% of revenue is coming from those search shoppers, those motivated shoppers, and a huge 9.64% of shoppers using search are converting, right? So that's a really good percentage, and it's those shoppers that are using search that's pretty close to the Amazon level of conversion. So great job, Chris, and the mighty team behind 2XU. So let's change gears and bring Scott up to talk about how to engage, build trust, and re-engage customers. I know with a partnership with Akendo and SearchSpring, what we see work really well is being able to sort on top-rated products, filter on those top-rated products, elevate top-rated products to the top of the results because we know that they convert really well, and also introducing things like badging of top-rated products, which Jacinda called out badging as well, and automating that logic to really help shoppers find what are those products that other shoppers are doing. So, Scott, let me pass over to you.
Lovely. Thanks, Kate. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today to learn a little bit more about the success of 2XU. So I'll jump right into the thick of things and start firing away at you, Chris. So the first thing that I think people consider with 2XU is just the global expansion and the reach that you've enjoyed throughout the years. And that hasn't been overnight. Obviously, you've added stores incrementally. So if you know off the top of your head, how many Shopify regional accounts do you have, to put you on the spot?
Oof, I would say at least a dozen, but we're actively managing around about half of those. We do work very closely with our distributors to ensure that they're getting the most out of their tech stack as well.
Okay, awesome. So that's a big job in and of itself, launching new stores in new regions. And where Akendo has supported 2XU specifically is helping you, I guess, have that social proof and at time of launch. So how has that worked for you, or what's the feature behind that you found success with?
Yeah, of course. So a particular example is the business has, I guess, a growing emphasis on expansion and growth in the US. You got to think about the business or the brand in Australia is pretty well established in the sporting space, but in the US, where it's highly competitive, we don't have that brand awareness or brand acknowledgement. And we don't really have that much of a positive sentiment. So we needed to find a way to, I guess, create reassurance or social acceptance or social proof, whatever you want to call it, in a new market. So the great thing about Akendo was that we were able to, I guess, syndicate our reviews, so share our reviews from all of our existing products in Australia and transfer them and lift them over to our US site. So that when a new person was coming to the site, they've never heard of 2XU, then they can see that, okay, well, this brand is trusted by other regions. These are real, genuine reviews and genuine feedback as well. So it kind of establishes that social proofing as well. And that was really kind of monumental to the success of the brand in the US, was the reviews and social proofing. Tying into the whole theme of social proofing, I know Akendo integrates in with 460, which is a user-generated content app, which we have on the footer of our website, and then also on the product pages where applicable products are. So the great thing about that is, images from our customer reviews can also appear on the product itself. Images from our Instagram page will also come through as well. So it all kind of ties into that theme or that concept of social proofing. It's made possible pretty much by review syndication.
Yeah, and that's really, really crucial, as you've rightly drilled down into, but specifically in North America, the the sporting brand and activewear is massive over there, whether it's Nike or Under Armour or similar. What we were able to do is basically take the 10,000 reviews you've collected within Australia and drop it into the US website from launch. And that's a continuous relationship and sync as well. So
Correct.
anytime a new review is collected in the US, it'll pull over to the Australian website and vice versa as well. And even across all of your 12 regions, which is really, really exciting. Awesome. So moving away from, I guess, the international growth of 2XU, I think one of the challenges that every e-com brand faces today is cultivating an experience through purchasing online. And it is vastly different to shopping in a store. So customers cannot try on a product. They cannot feel the quality of the product. They don't know whether it's going to fit them. How do 2XU get around that problem?
Yeah, of course. So with our reviews that are sent post-purchase to our customers, we ask them for not only a 5-star, not asking for specifically for a 5-star, but asking for a star rating, I should say. But we ask them for, I guess, their input as well as their, I guess, perception of sizing and quality. So that information around sizing and quality, does it run small, does it run large, is presented above the reviews in like a sliding scale. So somebody who's not aware of the brand can say, okay, well, this runs a little bit small, so I might size up, or this runs big for this product, I might size down a little if I want a snugger fit. That being said, it's really critical with our products being mostly compression tights that they are tight, that they're going to feel snug, but that is intentional to get the performance benefits out of our products. And so there's an education piece around that, and there's also the reassurance piece to our customers as well. We do, I think, largely because of, I guess, the sizing chart or that information, we do have an incredibly low returns rate. We have a returns rate of about 5%, which we're super, super happy with. And then there's also, I guess, another part of the reviews that we ask is for I guess, the customer's perception of the quality of the product, which is really important because we know that our products, well, we're the leading compression brand globally. And there is, I guess, a bit of a price premium with our product, but we do understand that is justified because of the quality of product and the benefits. So we just kind of give that customer the reassurance that, yes, we are a premium brand with premium products and you're going to have a great experience with this. And I guess we can say that, but it sounds more authentic coming from, I guess, our existing customers.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. And for other brands out there that may be in fashion or upper end luxury fashion, there is quite a common perception that reviews isn't for them. It just doesn't fit the personality. They don't want to collect that feedback. And I would implore you to challenge that thinking and to understand, how do I actually support my customers making a business decision, but also how do I learn more about my own product in terms of feedback, and do I need to change anything at a manufacturing level? These types of data points that are collected through reviews is that channel for you to build consumer confidence, but also internal manufacturing product changes if necessary and required.
Of course. And, on that point, all of the feedback that we get from our reviews, whether there's a fault with a product or we handball that information over to our product team so they're aware of any manufacturing faults. So it is like this whole kind of like this tool that is used across not just e-com, but our product teams and development as well.
Yeah. And that's why you can deliver such a great experience and your returns rate is so low, whether it's I got the sizing right first time or the product was just of exceptional quality and I don't need to, send it back because I had an issue with it.
Yeah.
So I think that just challenges the concept for all merchants out there that even if you get bad feedback, you have to think about it as constructive feedback, because if you don't make that change, your customers will not shop with you again.
Exactly.
So what I wanted to kind of lastly touch on then is, how do you utilize reviews on your website? Is obviously what we've just spoken about. It's great for driving consumer confidence and social proof, but where else does reviews play a part for 2XU in the marketing sphere?
In the marketing sphere, I think one of the best things is that our reviews, or the star rating for reviews, feed through into our Google Shopping ads. Google Shopping, or paid search as a whole, is one of the most is still one of the strongest performing channels for us, and will always be. But when it comes to Google Shopping in particular, us having the ability to have our star ratings next to our products in search results is monumental in the fact that we might, I guess, take sales from competitors who might not have star ratings on their products, or as a DTC arm of 2XU, we might even take sales from, I guess, our wholesale partners who don't have reviews and are selling the same product at the same price. And when it comes to a point of differentiation, having the stars or review rating in like quite a number of, I guess, quite a bit of depth is what I'm trying to say, on your search results, has been monumental for driving, I guess, incremental results for our paid search. That being said, the additional growth that you see from those star reviews on paid search is huge. I won't put a number to it, but it's definitely not worth overlooking.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it is an overlooked aspect of reviews. People just don't know that, hey, the reviews platform I have, that's the pathway to make that happen. And so it's really crucial that obviously when we speak to merchants, we can advise that. And you are right that the Google world is so big, whether it's organic SEO or whether it's Google Shopping and SEM, there's pathways which will affect both worlds, organic and paid. And it's very, very simple to implement. You just have to have some reviews. And so that benefit is absolutely crucial. And I would implore, again, every customer or consumer to be looking at that.
For sure. And wrapping all of that up to using that trust to drive results, right? And I think that's a really key part. So Scott, Akendo have been doing a lot of very exciting things. I keep seeing lots of news flash up on LinkedIn. Give us a quick rundown. There's a QR code on the screen as well.
Yeah, I'll keep it short and succinct. Akendo was built originally as a reviews platform, but as Kate's alluded to, we've had some very drastic changes and updates recently in the last 12 months, where we've actually released 3 new products. So now we do reviews, but we also do surveys, referrals, and most recently quizzes as of last week. So it's exceptionally exciting. We're pivoting to what we call a customer marketing platform, where we want to obviously build a community, create super fans, but ultimately also collect data, so you can sync all of that into your other tech platforms like SearchSpring, like Klaviyo, like Gorgeous, whoever it needs to be, because we want to make it a seamless experience for you as the brands, but also for your customers out there.
Right, and using that to drive that site experience, which is great. Excellent. So let me introduce Blake from Convert Digital, and they're going to dive into the topic of building your ultimate customer-led shopping journeys. Welcome, Blake.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. I got to quickly say that I've actually been kind of chuffed listening to everyone talk about their respective products, being a part of the team that's rolled it out across the 2XU websites. It's really cool to see people speaking so passionately about the different things that we've been able to deploy. So that's been really great. Chris, one of the things I wanted to talk about today was 2XU's been working with Convert Digital for some time now, and before we started rolling out more regular deployments, one of the first things that we worked on together, and it's actually when Jacinda was at 2XU, was the global sort of re-platform project. So I wanted to touch on a little bit about that, and I guess from your perspective, how was that identified that was something that you needed to do? Obviously, there was multiple markets that came into play there. There was also the concept of distributors, which you touched on earlier, in specific regions like the Nordics. And I wanted to specifically talk about, I guess, the deeper integration with SearchSpring and Okendo, because I feel like that would be quite topical.
Yeah, of course. I think when it comes to having a global tech stack, there's many different areas that we tend to look at. First of all, does the platform or the tool, I guess, scale well and help us create, I guess, journeys across multiple regions or sites or Shopify instances? For example, SearchSpring, we can jump between regions and it's all in one dashboard. You don't need to log out and go through that whole process again. But when it comes to, I guess, our regional approach, we always try to have a look at, I guess, what integrates in with our current tech stack. Like you've spoken here, when you've seen before about the integrations that we have in play, but Scott reminded me that Okendo integrates in with Gorgeous, and Gorgeous integrates in with all these other different platforms. SearchSpring integrates with GA4. Klaviyo also integrates with Gorgeous, and it's all interconnected. And basically what I'm trying to get at is some bigger ecosystem. So where these platforms and systems kind of come together is we always try to vet and make sure that whatever platform we are looking at, whether it's CDP or a session recording tool or something like that, or merchandising, that there are deep integrations with our existing tech stack.
Yeah, cool. I think a big part of that re-platform perspective, from our perspective, was simplifying the deployment process and maintenance. But I recall when we undertook that project, there were different third-party apps or integrations being installed on the different sites, and being able to, I guess, standardize that across all the different environments obviously has led us to be capable to do more regular deployments, keep things smoother. With that, I guess, consolidation of tech stack, how have you found, I guess, the impact on conversion since then?
Yeah. So I'm happy to give numbers with conversion, but I think one of the things that's really important to understand is that just by simply integrating in with a tool like SearchSpring, Okendo, VWO, any part of our tech stack, for the most part, you're not going to see incremental gains overnight just by turning it on. It very much comes down to how the team utilize the tool. And I think a big part of utilizing the tool is the level of support that you get from these tech or these platforms. And because the education piece of the staff needs to be there on how to utilize and make the most out of these tools. We're not going to see incremental growth by just having SearchSpring installed on the site if we're not actively merchandising, or likewise with Okendo if we're not actually sending reviews. But yeah, it's been pretty important. So, for example, some stats for, I guess, some of our top level partners that we've integrated with, like when we integrated with SearchSpring, we saw an immediate conversion rate increase of 16%, and search revenue increased by 100%. So that's actually monumental. I think, as Kate alluded to earlier, it comes into around about 9% conversion rate for search, which is huge. We've also previously, I guess, touched on Preezy as another partner of ours that we work with. They do our compression finder quiz. I'll admit I was a little skeptical during the sales calls when they were saying it delivers conversion rates of 5 to 7%. But it does what it says on the box, surprisingly. Well, not surprisingly, but and what I love about that is it's a really tailored experience that can go beyond just search. So, for example, a person interacting with a search bar kind of already has an idea of what they're after, whereas somebody going through a quiz can be so brand new to the website. And we see an uplift of people who interact with that tool of 125%. So what we've started using that is strategically trying to direct social campaigns to the compression finder quiz, because we know that it's going to effectively over double our conversion rate. And we've seen a massive decline in our social conversion rate over the years since iOS and all this other stuff. So it's just being strategic with our tech stack as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a kind of a perfect segue into my next question, which was, I think Two Times U has been very, very good at evaluating complementary products. One of the things at Convert that we try and make sure that our merchants don't do is, if you've got multiple sort of third parties powering very similar or the same functionality, but Preezy and search ring recommendations, and also Loop, in a way during the returns process, saying, oh, like, well, if this didn't fit right, we'll send you another thing. They kind of do similar things, but at completely different areas of the buying journey.
Yeah.
So I think that, Two Times has been very, very good at identifying those opportunities. One of the things that was I guess, that we're working on currently is checkout with Two Times U, and you touched on VWO earlier before. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you're approaching the current checkout, and then a little bit later we'll discuss, I guess, the new Shopify checkout that we're working on?
Yeah, of course. So I guess our current approach to the checkout using VWO, basically we set up just, your standard kind of series of funnels. So once a user checks over the initiate checkout, shipping information, payment, and all that, we went through VWO and reviewed a number of sessions to, I guess, highlight quite a number of pain points in that user journey. So for example, we found that a lot of customers were adding a series of products to their cart, going into the information stage of their checkout, and then oddly enough, abandoning their cart, going back and then trying to log into their account in the top right of the nav, which we thought was super odd. And ultimately, a lot of people were like forgetting passwords and having to reset like multiple attempts. And it became a real pain point. And then we identified that it was actually because that we were offering free shipping to our crew members, so anyone who had an account with us. In addition to that, we were also offering free shipping if you spent over $120. Now, a lot of the issues that we saw with people trying to go back and log into their account was with order values greater than 120 anyway. So they would have already qualified for free shipping if they had just gone to the next stage and not tried to log back into their account to get free shipping. It's a bit of a nightmare. But through using VWO, we were able to, I guess, take a step back and, I guess, identify the pain point in that user journey and then come up with some actionable ideas. So off the back of that, we're changing the way that free shipping works. And then we spoke about the new checkout experience as well. But really excited to see what the new checkout extensibility update in Shopify offers us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the ability for merchants to control content, I think with the example of free shipping, being able to have a banner in the checkout which says, you've qualified for free shipping, or have product recommendations saying, you're $50 away from free shipping, add in checkout. That's going to be significant for that scenario. Out of curiosity, have you had much time to evaluate the one-step checkout that Shopify has recently announced?
Yeah, we're actually we've been approved to be a part of the pilot program for Shopify. So once we get checkout extensibility up and running, and my apologies, we had to push that out a week yesterday. So I would have loved to have that live today. I would have loved to have this live for our chat today, but we'll be going to the new version of the checkout next week. And then shortly after that, we'll be swapping over to Shopify's new version of one-page checkout. So we're really excited to try this. I know a lot of big successful platforms like Amazon use that. So we're excited to be a part of that journey. And we're really excited to have Convert be our partner in establishing one-page checkout. I don't know if there's any other merchants that you guys work with that will be also a part of the one-page checkout, but like I said, we're just happy to be a pilot and we're really happy to be a part of this with Convert.
Yeah,
off the press, that's exciting.
Yeah, we just need to get the checkout extensibility live, and then I think we'll jump straight into one-page checkout. I think we're really kind of keen to learn how the one-page checkout even potentially breaks certain tracking tools as well. So this is why it's a pretty big change. So it's why I would look, to be honest, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing this with any other development agency.
I
Sorry, that's too much of a hype up there.
Job done. No, absolutely. We share those sentiments. We absolutely love working with the team at Convert, and we know that our customers are always so well looked after. Not just on the core platform, being able to integrate those new technologies, but also the innovation that's coming out, right? Not just being like at the on par with other brands and retailers, but always wanting to be that one step ahead and creating those best in class online shopping experiences. I think one of the things there that you called out was it's not just about the tech, right? It's choosing those partners that are going to help you get the most out of the tech, but also that can help kind of bring those tech platforms together so that they're all talking to each other as well. Blake, we've got a QR code on the screen for people to learn more about Convert, but tell us about Convert.
Yeah, so really quickly, Convert Digital's probably one of the bigger or leading e-commerce agencies for web development and design. We work with a number of different platforms, Adobe Commerce, Shopify, BigCommerce, Commerce Tools. Shopify is the team that I predominantly work on. Yeah, we've been working with 2XU for many years now. And yeah, from standard sort of development on Shopify in this context, we also work heavily in integrations, headless commerce, and obviously work quite closely with Akendo and SearchSpring as well. So any technical stuff, that's kind of where we're most comfortable. So.
Right. And I love all of those incredible brands that are up on the screen right now that have one thing in common, and that they are all powered by both Convert and SearchSpring. So let us welcome everybody, all of our panel back to our virtual stage. And we're going to drill into this concept of boosting conversions and increasing customer retention. So what's helping and hindering conversion? One of the things that I think can hinder conversion is a theme that Chris touched on. So tech is not set and forget, right? So yes, we want the tech to be there doing the automation and optimization and personalizing the experience and doing the heavy lifting. But right now in the current environment, how can you keep leaning in to test things? How do you keep finding those incremental uplifts in conversions and incremental uplifts in growing the average order value as well? So let's open the floor up. So Jacinda, what are you seeing right now works really well for boosting conversions or growing?
Yeah. So I think definitely off the back of what yourself and Chris were just saying, I talk to a lot of customers obviously around conversion, and the bottom line is there's no silver bullet for conversion. You can have a great tech stack, you can have great tools, but you need to be using those and you need to be in them, having a look at the data. And I'm reading this book at the moment that I'm just like, I already know it's going to change my life, called Atomic Habits. And there's this concept of like the 1% and not focusing on like the goal, but focusing on what can we do every day to get incrementally better. And I think that with conversion, that's the trick, right? Implementing a new tool or, you do have big projects that will move the dial, but every day getting in the data and going, how can I lift conversion a tiny amount just today? Like, what's the one thing that I can do? And then building on that every day, getting in the data and making sure that you're consistently understanding what your customers are doing, and that you're reacting to that. I think is the one way. And then I know, Kate, you always say, I always bang on about data and it's not a sexy topic, but the one thing that you can do to increase conversions and improve the customer experience today that is not going to cost the world with implementing a new tool, it will take time, but looking at your data and making sure that your product descriptions, if you're Shopify, your tags, like your metadata, everything is supporting all of those tools that you've got. So looking at, do you have the data? Do you have the tags to support search, to support your filters? One thing that always really, when I go to a site, and I won't say who it is, but like a large marketplace, right, where there's thousands of items, and you go, I want to look for a long sleeve black dress. I go and filter down by long sleeve, black, maxi, and you know that there's hundreds, if not thousands of those products, but you get 10 products back. And the reason for that is that data is not being maintained. So if you're not paying attention to your data, you're cutting your catalog back dramatically in doing that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Jacinda's obviously in Melbourne because she's still looking for long sleeve things, whereas in Sydney, we're all moving across those short sleeves right now. One of the things I always like to recommend people doing is go away and test your top products, test your top searches, test your top collections. Are the right products coming up in your top real estate? So good size curve availability, seasonality, top sellers, top rated products. And if not, there's an opportunity there for further automation. And also then diving in and looking at those product recommendations when you're on the PDP or at cart level. Are the products that are being recommended for those cross sells or upsells the most natural products that are most likely to convert as well? So, Scott, what are you seeing that's helping or hindering boosting conversions and increasing customer retention?
I say this, it's a very common kind of talk track for me, and I just haven't broken through the masses yet. Depth of data being collected. I think 2XU do it extremely well. They're probably one of the few brands that do it really well. And that's phase one. Phase two then is actually leveraging that data. So we've spoken about a few times of being able to have a great ecosystem of tech platforms. So specifically with the data we collect, we can pass it across into platforms like Klaviyo or Attentive or Omnisend or PostScript, whoever you're using. We pass all of that data across, and you can start to use that for segmentation. Very similar to Jacinda. I won't name the brand, but some brands haven't got to that sophistication, and it's not really sophistication. It should be an expectation of how you're functioning these days. But they were sending me female leggings in terms of new releases and come back and shop with me. And I was like, I think we need to improve here. So that pathway of collecting it through a Kendo or whatever channel source, but then actually using it in your comms to segment your community and be personalized in either product recommendations or even just educational content. Like, not everything needs to be actually saying buy, buy, buy. It should be cultivating engagement, building a community, making sure that you listen to your customers. So that's something which I think only a handful of brands really do well, but it's absolutely setting them apart and setting them up for success.
Yeah, absolutely. And those brands that are getting the loyal community are the ones where the shoppers are waiting for their new product releases to come out, right? And they're selling out or selling down super quick. And they have that loyal repeat shopper that is not going to go straight to that sale or outlet page as well. And definitely focus on right product, right shopper, right time.
Exactly.
Yeah, making sure we've got tech do the heavy lifting on that. Blake, what about your thoughts on this topic?
Sorry, I was muted. I think probably one of the major things is just making sure that, as Scott was sort of saying earlier, having a tech stack where information can be shared is really integral. If you don't have the right products running to power the e-commerce experience, and you'll have basically information drop off, or people won't be able to find and discover the right things. That's one thing that we're seeing as kind of a trending thing right now, is where brands are reevaluating whether or not the things that they are paying for to support the e-commerce experience can actually communicate with each other, and whether or not the data that they're capturing is actually usable. So we're seeing a lot of reevaluation and also a really big emphasis on personalization. I think that's something that we're now getting as a requirement for almost every build. Brands are really double downing on personalization. Obviously, given the times, sales are harder to get. So they're making sure that the products that are being presented to customers are 100% absolutely the products that they should be seeing.
That's great. And we are going to move into questions. So if you've got a question for our panel, drop them into the Q&A. But Chris, so last, I know you've covered so much and been so generous with your insights already, but any last kind of tips or tricks on boosting conversions and increasing customer retention?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, this is a little one that we just got hot off the press yesterday. That's a little small one that made a little bit of a big difference. Again, the whole idea of, you've heard me talking about A/B testing, just because somebody else is doing something doesn't mean it's going to work for you guys. So validate it on your side. But we run an A/B test that surprised me. We moved the hamburger menu on our mobile navigation from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, and we saw a conversion rate increase for mobile shoppers 160%. Which is monumental. And the way that I kind of pictured as to why is because, well, most people are right-handed, and a lot of people just are browsing their phone with one hand. And so if we can simplify that navigation experience so that a customer can shop effectively using only one hand, then maybe it just makes it a little bit easier to buy something when you're, watching something on TV, or, you're on the train or whatever it be. So that was a little bit of an interesting one. Again, validate that for your own self. And then the other thing, when it comes to conversion rate, I would say reassess your importance of the homepage. We recently tagged up everything on the homepage and our navigation so we could see clicks in GA for. And we see, for every one click on a homepage element, we see 10 in the navigation, not just like a click to a drop down, click to a sub one, but like end result clicks. So that has really shifted our perception of what's important. I know the marketing team, and I love them dearly. They all put a lot of effort into the homepage of our site, but actually what we're seeing is that there's a lot more importance on the navigation than anything. So they're my two quick little tips that I would say: put more emphasis on your nav, and A/B test everything.
I love that, which takes us into our questions. And so we'll keep you on, Chris. What are the best examples of A/B tests you've seen e-commerce brands using? So we're going to do some rapid fire questions.
Of course. For us, I'd say, look, I kind of revealed a lot of my hand with that hamburger menu comment as well there. What else are we doing? We're going to be running some A/B tests on sticky filtering on mobile and desktop as well soon, because we know that users who interact with the filters are more likely to convert than those who don't. So having that be an always prominent aspect of that user journey, then that will definitely be one that we're testing. And we're also doing a small test shortly around payment methods, and just reassuring customers and creating that social proof that, hey, look, we're a secure site. We have PayPal, which is, for me, the default. Like, if you get approved by PayPal, you're fine. Again, that kind of like reestablishing, I guess, social proofing, but as a payment method as well. So just, again, A/B testing a few things there. So there's some of, I've revealed my hand for what we're doing.
No, that's wonderful. So, Jax, any quick A/B tests that you think people should be looking to dive into?
I've got two, but I'll try and go through it really quickly. So, one that we see a lot, there's a lot of talk around the search bar at the moment and how to optimize that search bar. We have one customer that did some work around the search bar with sticky, and so they tested both a sticky search bar, but also when a customer is scrolling back up the page, the search bar appearing, because obviously if you're scrolling back up, you're looking, to go back to the top. And they saw I think it was a 30% increase in revenue from that really small change in search revenue. Another great example is we had a customer that rolled out Refund It, and we did some A/B testing around just a little inline banner that advertised they had Refund It. And the results were I think 40% higher conversion for the version that had that Refund It banner. So that's a really quick one that you can easily run an A/B test on.
Yeah, we're seeing inline banners used, and banners at the top of the page used a lot more right now, being able to A/B test and actually figure out what is going to lead to conversions. Let's then go to another great question. So we have a lean merchandising team. What types of automations would you suggest focusing on to save the most time? Great question. Every team feels like they're running super lean at the moment. Everyone's got so many competing priorities. And so this is really looking at how do we optimize at scale for merchandising. You're not alone having a lean team. Jacinda, do you want to touch on that quickly?
Yeah, I think with merchandising, having that global or overarching rule that is both making it easier for customers to find what they want, but also reducing that load on the team so that you can go deeper and you can set up category campaigns and run A/B tests if you have the bandwidth for it. But if you know that you've got a really solid foundation where it can do that heavy lifting for you, so you're prioritizing products that are important to your business, so like high margin or new products, but also products that have great size curve availability that might be part of a promotion. You know, if you've got a Black Friday promotion, just adding a quick rule to boost anything with that tag or that badge, and then straight away you've turned your site into every single touch point, search and merch. You've got those products that you want to lead with at every point. So yeah, from when I was at 2XU, we saved almost a full resource from switching to SearchSpring. And I think Chris and I were chatting about Jake on his team and the way that having SearchSpring has enabled him to step into an analytical role and not have to be doing manual merchandising, but actually looking at the data and like growing him in terms of his development as well, which I know that Chris has really enjoyed doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key there is to keep looking for those incremental uplifts. So it's not set and forget. Yes, it can do a lot of the heavy lifting, but making sure that you're taking that time each day or each week to really start to focus on how can we keep elevating those results as it comes to conversions. That takes us to time. So I'd like to say a very big thank you to our awesome panel, Chris at 2XU. Thank you for being so generous with all of those insights. It's great to seeing what you do and the brand continue to go from strength to strength. Scott, super excited to kind of learn a lot more about what Okendo are doing. Keep up the great work. Very focused on that loyalty, repeat customer. And Blake, thank you as well. It's great to see all of these new sites launching that are just continuing to kind of step up and make it easier for people to shop on as well. So thank you. And thank you everybody for joining us today, or if you're watching this on demand as well, feel free to reach out. We'd love to continue the conversation.